Hello, it's me again. So, for the ones that don't know, I'm a dungeon master. For those that don't know what a dungeon master is, basically is like being a little god, alright, that manipulates the events that happen in a role-playing game with your friends. You give some trauma to people, that kind of stuff. So I was sitting here, as a dungeon master, and I was like, dude, I need some characters, to test what I discovered in the last video, the type of process to be consistent with the render and everything, So I needed like characters that were already established, so I didn't have to do that much design thinking, and a lot of things were already established, but they were not that much established, so I had freedom. Yeah. So yeah, I needed that. And I was like, hey, how about I draw my characters, like my players' characters, So, and there are 5, so it's a lot. It's a lot. I made a lot. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So first of all, I'm gonna explain to you what is the process. Kind of like I made kind of the same with every single character. The type of process is like the same, but I made minor changes to see what I like it more and what I like less, It's always kind of experimental, everything that I do here. So yeah, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna explain you what I did with this character, Cruel. Here you have the sketch. Cruel is an orc, as you can tell. A barbarian, well, it's not a barbarian, it has 2 points on 3 points in warrior and 1 in barbarian, I think. But it's like that brute, not very smart guy, So it has like that barbarian aesthetic, even though it's not a barbarian. Now, I did the sketch, and this sketch is whatever, I didn't sketch like I usually sketch that much. I did like a very messy, big brush sketch. I was just having fun. And then I made a clean line art, defining the shapes, the forms, the anatomy and everything. And then I put it the base colors. Yeah. Here an interesting thing that I really liked a lot was to leave the sketch in low opacity. I put it like in multiply layer, and I added a very dark red, so it's not black, it's like a very dark red, and that gives a little bit of texture and tonality. So yeah, I was just experimenting with that, and after that I added the shadows. Simple shadows. These shadows are mainly to communicate what type of volume have the thing that I want to render. Because right now we don't want to get to details or anything like that. We just want to indicate the form and where the light is coming from and all that. Okay, so after adding the shadows, then I added middle tones and some occlusions. Alright? And this part, if you have seen the last video, you know that this part I really like it, because like middle tones give so much, and you don't have only one type of middle tone, you have a little bit more, and you just indicate form. You are literally saying, hey, this is the shape of this thing. You define that very good, right? because you only have one shadow and one light. Normally, you know, it's like, you know, light, shadow. So the middle tones, it's all that is in the middle, as the name says. Very good. So all the things that are not like the hard shadow or the clear light, you define it with that. I don't know how to explain it better than this, you know, I'm not a very good teacher in this aspect, so yeah, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, middle tones. Then I added light, right? Just lighting up everything. If you notice, the upper part is more lightened than the lower part, because I want the attention in the upper part. Okay, we get the detail, we get the high contrast and all those things in the parts that we want people to see. All right, so if I don't care that much about the lower part, I don't put that much light, I don't put that much detail, and here is the final. Yeah, that's it. You have the sketch, base colors, shadow, middle tones, light, and you finished. That's it. Yeah, I know. Here I just made like a square shape with the name Cruel, alright? And I think it looks very cool. Obviously this is made fairly quickly, alright? So I had to do 5 of these, so I went fairly quickly. I didn't put that much effort in the design and the colors itself, I just went raw, you know? But I'm very happy. I really like this one, you know? The thing about Cruel, right, and I really like it a lot, is that he's like this brute, strong guy that is dumb, right? But the interesting thing is that he's actually very aware in terms of violence. He understands very well when a situation is gonna go south. He had like a very rough life in like a campament of orcs, you know, that they were all about war and all about conquering and fighting and this brute thing, you know. And he was like, I'm not vibing that much with everything that is happening here, so I'm just gonna go out and hang out by myself in the wild. So he stormed out, you know, and he was in the wild surviving. So in terms of fighting and nature and all that, Cruel is actually very good and very successful in all those things. Now you put him in a city and he kills a noble. just entering the city. Yeah, that by the way, that was the first session of the campaign, was that there was like a noble that it was like a little bit bratty, you know, and an asshole, and Cruel just decided to cut him in half in front of people, you know. Yeah. Anyways, moving forward, here you have Arieti. This is the sketch. Here I did the same process, right? But I really like the design that I did here, you know, because Arieti is a Genashi of air. I hope I'm pronouncing this really well. And she is a rogue. The thing about her is that she is like this kind of a rogue that wants to have an adventure and is all about it, but she doesn't like that much the bad popularity, you know. She wants people to recognize her as a hero, if you might say. and she's a rogue, alright? And in the lore, she has like a couple of stories, you know, about her making big adventurous moves, helping people or stealing to some rich guy and giving to the poor and stuff like that. But I think that the design overall here is really cool, and I really like the hair flowing and all that. And now I just noticed that I didn't put the tattoos. Fuck. So yeah, in theory she has like tattoos in the arm, and you see in the sketch that I put that, but here I didn't put it. Yeah, and I really like the background here, because if you notice, I made like more aggressive, dynamic thing compared to Cruel. Arieti is more like this agile assassin, you know, and Cruel is like more a tank beast. So yeah, here we have Fatty. This one is interesting, alright? She is half human, half horse, alright? That comes from a village. She is like an oracle? I don't know how it's called in English. Un oráculo. She has visions of the future, you know? The thing with her is that she, compared to the other people in the campaign, she's more of a moral compass, if you may say. She tries to do the good thing and she tries to go in a good path, but she's not like all flowers and bees. She's very straight, you know? And you can see it in the posture, you know, it's a strong posture. You can see it in the design that she is like standing, right? And also in the background you see a square, because a square is like a very stable thing, like a normal square, literally. Bam! There you have it. You have this posture and everything, and I really like the thing about the eyes and all that stuff in the leather armor, because, well, she sees the future. It's not something that she controls, but is more of something that it happens to her as a bad thing, you know, because she sees bad things in the future, obviously. So yeah, and the overall stuff is trying to portray this more serious character. And if you go to Arieti, you can see that she's more playful, you know, she's not that serious. She has a little bit of a smile, you know, she's looking you a little bit up, she has an open posture, inviting you, you know, and Fatty is more a close one, stiff one, you know, is standing. Then you see here the cleric of the party, Rilka. She is half rat, alright, and half person. She's a furry. Here the interesting thing is that I did something with Rilka that I wanted to try, and it was to make color variation, but in the base color. I already did like color variations in the shadows or in the light in other works that I have done, but I tried here put it in the base colors to see how it worked, you know, and I think it worked pretty well. I think it's not like a big thing that I will do forever, but I don't know, it's interesting to do this, you know. The thing with her is that she is like a cleric, herborist, healer, you know. She goes with plants and stuff, and she's like a more shy, closet person, you know. She was closed in her house for a long time, I think for years. She hasn't seen the world outside of her house, you know, and once the guy that adopted her died, she had to get out of her house, And that guy was like a cleric that teach her things with plants and healing and magic and stuff, you know. And now she's like outside without knowing a lot of things, and just going around and finding out stuff and learning, you know. So you can see that the posture and everything is like not sure. She's not secure, she's not sure of the thing, you know. She's close to the staff because this staff is like very precious to her character. So she's close with the staff, you know. She has like this body language that, for example, in Fatty you see this secureness, that she's very sure of the things, you know. She's standing there, you know. And finally we have Adriel, all right. I don't know how to pronunciate it in English, all right. So yeah, Adriel. Now this character is a funny one because this character has amnesia. He woke up in a field and that's it. There you have it. That's it, you know. I know the lore, you know, and I know what happened to this character and everything. I cannot say it, but the thing that is known, alright, is that has amnesia, you know, and is a very secure guy, alright, is very secure of himself, but also he's very direct with the things that he says. He has like this type of vibe, you know, unsettling vibe, that there's something mysterious with him, you know, but you don't know exactly what is going on. So here you have the character, how the posture, everything has a little bit of mystery. You don't know what is happening right now in his head, you know. It has like an aggressive but relaxed posture, you know, and he has like a certain charm, you know. The way that he looks, the way that he speaks, he is a charming person, alright. So yeah, here you have a quick look of the designs that I did for my players. What I can say with the method of rendering, alright, is that like this method is consistent and is effective, don't get me wrong, but let's just say that it has some downsides, but at least is fairly consistent. Now, the biggest quality of this is that it's quick as fuck. So quick, it's so quick to render like this. You do it and you don't even notice, you know. And the good part also with this is that it gives you a really nice base that you can work, because all these characters I can now merge all the layers, you know, and paint on top, you know, and refine things and do stuff. And I already have nice colors, I already have nice forms, nice shapes, you know, nice shadows, nice lights. I have a very good base that I can start working on. So yeah, I think that's all. And if you like the video and the art, like and subscribe, alright? Don't forget about it. And see you on the next video. Bye!